Hi guys, welcome to my channel Security Ninja. Today I am going to revisit the Red vs Blue cybersecurity simulation game, which is made by ThreatGEN team. I played this game last year, and since then there has been a lot of changes being made to this game, and the current version is version 1.8, which I'm super excited to jumping back into the game to play it again today. So let's get started to play this game, and I'm going to play the blue team today, but I might play as a red team in my next video. I believe the ThreatGEN team has added 2 new more maps. One of them is manufacturing plant, and another one is large oil and gas company, and in today's video I'm going to play the oil and gas company. And I already knew how to play this game, so I'm just going to skip the intro part of the game. Once you get inside the game, you will have this view representing your ICS environment, and one thing to notice, the changes that have been made is that there's a threat intelligence score bar, which will, if you perform the threat hunting in your environment, it will contribute to the winning condition, and you will also have the profit loss bar, which if certain assets out of the services in your environment, you will lose your reputation. You will have the, in the bottom of this game, you will have the action trees, which you can perform certain actions. All the actions you can see you can perform in this view. And you will also have the network view, which is a small environment you need to protect. And I'm going to start to play this game right now. First thing I'm going to do is to deploy a gateway firewall, which will secure my network parameter. So essentially it will prevent the red team to be able to scan and attack every one of your assets. So it just preventing your assets being exposed to the internet. Going to add my gateway firewall, and the next steps I'm going to do is to install electronic logs, because based on my previous experience, the red team will trying to access your parameter at the early stage. And I got one more staff available, so I'm going to do asset inventory to see what's in my network. So the parameter firewall is installed. Since I do not have enough manpower at this time, so I'm just going to let's see if there's any task only one person can do. The only thing left is for me to install video surveillance, so I'm going to install that, which will increase the visibility in my facility, which is a good thing. So my electronic logs installed, and I'm going to segment my network, because what it does, it will prevent the threat to moving freely, essentially to stop the lateral movement. So I'm going to do that and enter the turn. So video surveillance installed, which I will have much better visibility in my environment. And I have one person available. So at this point, I'm going to request doing a safe testing message, which will essentially prevent the damaging the ICS devices from vulnerability assessments and penetration testing. So one thing I really like about this game is that some of this introduction, they all have a description field which really explaining the real world terminology. So if you're just starting the game or starting the cybersecurity, starting to your career in this field, it's gonna be really helpful for you to understanding some of this terminology and their concepts behind them. So big shout out to the ThreatGEN team. And I'm going to add my turn here. And do not have any manpower available, so I'm just going to end my turn. So my network was being segmented. I'm going to also install a VPN, and I'm also going to doing a policy and procedures which will allow me to perform more actions. And I do not have any manpower available. So VPN installed, which will prevent my remote user to log in, so they can only log into my DMZ zone, which is good thing. So I am going to do a quick vulnerability mapping, which will find the public vulnerabilities. It is a fast, it is a light testing, so it will not find all the important vulnerabilities, but I want to do it very quick at early stage to just remediate some low-hanging fruits at early stage. So I have my policy and procedure implemented. So the next thing I'm going to do is to implement the SDLC, which will essentially minimize the chances my application will be vulnerable. So end my turn. And also going to do secure my Wi-Fi access point, which essentially it is implementing a WPA2. So I'm going to adding that to my Wi-Fi access point. So Wi-Fi security implemented. Next step I'm going to do is to requesting budget. So based on the game description, it says found a way to show management your network is at risk, which means which I did. I performed the vulnerability mapping, and it shows there's some vulnerability in my environment. So I'm going to request a budget to increase my chances to get budget approved. So SDLC implemented. Next step I'm going to do is to enable the two-factor authentication, which will remediate some of these vulnerabilities, such as weak credentials and improper access control. So because I do not have those control at this time, so I want to remediate. So it's like a workaround. I do not have enough. Yeah, I do not have enough money. I just have to wait 2 more rounds, so I'm going to secure some of this workstation. So update antivirus and the patch XSS. So you want to patch this to engineer workstation at early stage, because I played with my team before, and if they got compromised, it can easily so the attacker can easily access your ICS environment through this to engineer workstation. So I believe I got some extra money which I can use to enable my 2FA authentication and end my turn. So budget acquired. Next step I'm going to do is to encrypt my network traffic, which will which there will be no plain text being transmitted in my network, and end my turn. So I believe I finished the encrypting network traffic and enable 2FA. And the next step I'm going to do is to doing a security awareness training. So in version 1.8, a couple cool things is that you can perform threat hunting, and you will also can perform internal pen tests and internal vulnerability assessment. I don't believe these three actions was existed in the previous versions. So big shout out to the ThreatGEN team for adding these actions into the game. And at this point, I think there is some vulnerabilities in my ICS environment, but I'm going to just using this do a quick security awareness training to prevent or decrease the possibility my environment got social engineered. So next step is to I think they also have this Hardening Rdp. So I haven't done this yet, so I'm going to harden my RDP very quick. So there's a person trying to access my facility and has been caught, which is a good thing. And next step I'm going to do, I do not have any manpower, so I'm going to end my turn here. So security awareness training implemented. So which means I can. So I think what I'm going to do is to just to getting the threat hunting ability. I'm going to do this security training, skill training at the early stage, because I want to perform the threat hunting at the early stage, and also request the ICS vendor certification, which before you patch your ICS device, you want to get in vendor approval. I do not have enough manpower, so I'm going to end my turn. Yeah, it will take like a couple more rounds for the security skill training. So I got cybersecurity certification, and I'm also going to do a ICS vendor certification request, and I'm also going to perform a pen test to just see how many vulnerabilities. Pen test allows me to catching the 0 day in my network, so it's really important to do the pen test. So I have an ICS vendor patch certification available, which means I can safely patch my ICS device. There is not much vulnerability at this time. All of these are weak password, default credentials. So if you remember, I already have 2FA enabled, so there's no thing to worry about at this time. But I'm just going to fix some of other hosts. So there are some other hosts such as my firewall was, I believe, is vulnerable. So I'm going to patch my gateway firewall here. So penetration test completed, which means I can request some more budget, and I'm also going to install a physical 2FA, which means it will make the breaks in more difficult. So install it, and I'm also going to patch my DMZ firewall. Based on my past experience, firewall is something you want to patch it early. Also, this server firewall, you also want to patch it at the early stage. So physical 2FA installed, it will make the breaks in much harder, and I'm also going to just patch these two engineer workstation because they're directly connect to my ISS environment. So you wanna patch them at the early stage. So I'm well funded, which means I can hire a new staff to increase my efficacy. So I want to update my antivirus because in the version 1.8, I believe the attacker can actually deploy the ransomware or the malware to your environment. So you want to add in the constantly update your AV, so the ransomware operation, the success rate of the ransomware operation will be decreased. So I have one more person available. So I'm going to patch my ICS devices. So new staff hired. So I'm just going to patch all this device here. So default credentials I do not have to worry, but this firmware I would like to fix it at early stage. Some of these vulnerabilities you have to fix them at early stage. So full assets updated. They're also going to update the antivirus. There's some vulnerability on there, so I'm going to fix them. So update the firewall firmware. Some 0-day on my workstation, user workstation. Definitely want to fix them. And my AD servers, there's some vulnerabilities on my AD server. I think I want to patch them. So this is my DMZ zone. So those servers, you want to patch them as soon as you can. So this one does not have the updated AV. I want to update that later. So just to update the AV very quick here. And some of these workstation I also want to patch it at the early stage, because based on my experience, this workstation is really easy to get hacked. So some of the 0-day you want to patch them quickly. So update AV, some 0-day on here. And there's outdated antivirus. And your terminal server, you also want to patch it. A lot of 0-day on there. And your VPN access point, you also want to patch it. There's a 0-day on there as well. And I am going to patch some of this remote user, because they're much more vulnerable than the internal network, so I have to patch them at early stage. So this one is missing antivirus, which I think is really important to remediate that missing antivirus. So antivirus rolled out. So this one has a lot of vulnerability in there. Outdated antivirus. I believe some of the 0-day. Yeah, directory traversal. So just update my AV and do a system hardening on that host. So incorrect access control, I don't have to worry at this time, because I already have 2FA enabled, similar to the same as the weak password. So I will wanna do another round of pen test to just see if there's any new vulnerability comes up. So do a new pen test, and as well to doing some threat hunting. So I'm going to do a threat hunting on my DMZ firewall. So there is nothing being caught. Going to do a threat hunting on my gateway firewall and a server firewall. So threat hunting completed, still nothing found. So I believe my pen test has been finished, which means I can request another round of budget approve. So there is more vulnerabilities being identified, which why I wanna patch my ISS device quickly. So I'm going to apply the ISS vendor certification, and also patch the engineer workstation, and also patch my DMZ. There is not a whole lot vulnerability for my firewall at this time, so I'm going to just patch some of this. Going to update the firmware on here. And the firmware on the gateway firewall as well. So my SCADA PCS is definitely needs to be patched. And there is outdated antivirus. I'm going to update my antivirus. Some 0-day vulnerability which needs to be patched, and also some outdated antivirus needs to be updated. So they are fully patched, and I also have some more funding comes in. So I'm going to update the firmware on my ISS device, and yeah, so most of this just to update the firmware. So I'm going to update all of them, and also patch this this host in my internal ISS environment. So I think at this time I'm going to try to do a threat hunting on my workstation to see if there's any compromised host in my corporate network. So threat hunting finished. Nothing so far, so keep doing threat hunting. So one of the hosts has been identified that was being compromised, so I'm going to activate it IR. Also patching some of these other hosts. So update AV. So there's a couple 0-day on there. Needs to be patched, and I'm going to add my term. So my IR activated, so I'm going to replace this asset. It's the easiest way to remediate this kind of issue. And I'm also going to hunt in my server network here, and deactivate my IR and add my term. So their access should be removed, and I'm going to just hardening that host since I got on the network through that host early. So I'm also going to fix a couple of this host here. There is nothing found in my server network, so I'm just going to patch some of them. And I'm going to initiate a new round of pen tests in the upcoming round. So I'm going to starting to do a new round of pen tests to see if there is new 0-day was being identified. So I believe they're still in the action queue. No. So I'm going to patch this, do a system hardening on there to remediate the directory traversal vulnerability. And some of this hosts in my PCS environment needs to be patched. So big password 0-day, and there's some vulnerabilities on that host as well. So I'm going to patch it. So I believe I finished my pen test here, and I'm going to request budget approval and just apply some more patches here. So I have some new vulnerabilities on my ICS device, so I'm going to just apply a new ICS vendor certifications, which allows me to apply the patches on the ICS safely. Also checking there's some new vulnerabilities on that user workstation, so I'm going to patch it. Also, yeah, I do not have to do the system hardening since I already have 2FA, so just check the VPN has 3 day, I have to patch it. Some 0 day on my DMZ firewall, and also my gateway firewall as well. So I have my ICS safe patch certification available now, so I can patch my ICS device here. Weak password, default credential, I do not have to worry. And most of this seems like just a weak password. So for this one, it is a vulnerability I have to patch. So I'm going to check my remote user, which this one has a lot of vulnerability on there I have to fix, and other just incorrect access control. And my budget approved, which means I can hire new staff. And I think I'm going to just, yeah, my access point also has some vulnerability. I'm going to patch it. So new staff hired. I'm going to do another round of threat hunting to see if any of these hosts being compromised. Also check some of these hosts, and I'm going to do another round of pen test to just see if there's new vulnerability in my environment. So threat hunting finished. There is no vulnerability so far. Let me check my internal PCS environment here. Also check on this firewall. So 2 of the hosts has been compromised, so I'm going to activate IR and also perform threat hunting on my PCS network. So I'm going just to replace it, since it's easiest way to remediate this kind of issue. I'm also going to perform threat hunting on my other network here. Also in my ICS environment, and deactivate the IR. So my server firewall was also being compromised. So I think I have to activate IR again. Just check my. I'm also going to check my server network here. Threat hunting. Oops. Not update antivirus. Threat hunting. Threat hunting. Threat hunting. Threat hunting. Okay. Just end my turn here. So there is nothing being compromised. Going to request the budget since I did the pen test, and I'm just going to replace the asset here and deactivate IR. And also do some threat hunting on my terminal server. Maybe a remote user. Alright. So my terminal server is also getting compromised, which I have to just to fix my patch some of this server right now, and waiting for my budget to get approved to replace that terminal server. So I'm just going to patch the server here and patch this PC as server. The directory traversal 0-day, so system hardening it. So apply a new ICS vendor certification so I can patch my ICS device, and yeah, so I have to fix my firewall, update the firmware, and checking. There's a 0-day on my workstation, so I'm going to patch it. So I got the budget approved, I believe. So fix this vulnerability here and activate my IR. So my ICS vendor certification is still on the way, so I'm just going to fix some of this vulnerability in my. This one is missing AV, so install AV and patch the host, and also update the AV on this shared server, and end my turn. So IR enabled, so I'm going to replace the asset and deactivate the IR. Actually, I'm not going to deactivate IR yet. I'm going to doing some threat hunting on my remote user to see if their host was being compromised as well. So the host was being fixed, and I'm just going to check all of this host to see if they're being compromised. Check this engineer workstation, and also check the firewall again. And I think I can deactivate IR. So no threats are found yet. So I'm going to patch my ICS device here. This one is default credential enabled. Yeah, so I can just change my default credential. Why not? So fake password, which I do not have to worry. There is some other vulnerability, I believe, on the terminal service incorrect access control, which I do not believe I have to worry. So this one is outdated antivirus. I'm going to update it. And I think this one is vulnerability. There's vulnerability on there, so I have to patch it. And I'm going to initiate a new round of pen test to just see if there's any other vulnerability in my environment. And in the meantime, I'm going to patch all this remote host. Just patch it, and this one is incorrect access control, which I think I'm going to do another round of threat hunting in my workstation corporate environment, corporate network. So threat hunting completed, nothing found, which is a good thing. So threat hunting completed. Finish the rest of the host here. I believe this is our last round, so I can just do some threat hunting and achieve the winning condition, hopefully. So we reached the winning condition as a blue team. There is some nice data you can see here, and you see staff utilization is 100%, threat intelligence score is 41%, and detected 5 assets, breached assets, and average detection time is 27 turns. And for the red team, we successfully cut off their pivot points 5 out of 7, and let's see the results here. So on the other side, so pretty much at the end of the game, they're pretty struggle, I think. So they succeeded on some of this attack, but majority of them has been failed because we patched our server. So that is it. I do really enjoyed playing the version 1.8, and I do really hope ThreatGEN team will continue to release new features for this game. It is a really amazing game. I really enjoyed to play it, and thank you ThreatGEN team for continue develop this game and updating this game. And I hope you guys enjoyed my gameplay, and I will see you guys in my next video.